it is time for an updated wizard build in Diablo Immortal. Not just a wizard build, but one that is the best, or in my opinion, the fastest, most fun, highest damage output for dungeons specifically in Diablo Immortal. Again, there are so many different builds for the wizard. This is the one that I personally enjoy the most. I've made a ton, and I mean a ton, of build videos for the wizard, specifically all classes, and they're all linked in the description of all my videos, by the way, in case you're looking for a specific playlist. I've very easily broke them up for you, okay? But in this one, we're bringing you the most fastest, most updated, most bestest damage builds you've ever seen in your life for the wizard as of the time of this recording. So let's get straight to it, guys. I actually really enjoy this one. Huge shout out to Orith, who is where I found this build from. I wanted to give a very special shout out to him because that is where I found it. Again, a lot of people get really passionate about builds, and I'm not saying Orith does in this way, but a lot of commenters seem to get really annoyed when they see similar builds or the same build. So I saw this build from Orith. So huge shout out to him. Credit goes to him. If he got it from somewhere else, I don't know, but that's just where I saw it. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into the video right now. First thing we're going to do is talk about the build, and then we'll jump into an actual dungeon where we can do it together. So this is the first, it's the headpiece. I already have my head, pause, on. I have to go to the essence transfer to remember which one it is. It's the temporal flux, I'm pretty sure. Well, it's what it does. All right, so temporal flux slow time now causes you to enter a temporal flux, causing your non-channel skills to reduce the cooldown of your other skills and increase your movement speed. All right. Straightforward. It's very similar to what we use for the raid build and the invincible build and like all those other builds that we've covered on this channel. Coat of the Astrum. Now, while this isn't the highest damage, this is the one that gives you the widest damage range for this build. Okay, so this is the one where you're going to throw out a wild arc that rapidly jumps between targets. So this is the one where the little arc will just go doo, 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 but we're getting a bunch of them. So we're going to be running really fast, teleporting around, and then just getting a bunch of these guys just spinning all over the place doing tons of damage. So while it doesn't do the most damage in general possible, it gives you the widest range to cover more of that dungeon, to do more damage overall, if that makes sense. The shoulders, we're using a cursed arrival, teleport also increases the damage you deal with skills by 20% for 4.8 seconds. We're basically going to be using only skills in this one, so there's that. Pants, fiery revenge. Teleport is now imbued with fire, which is going to also burn enemies. Keep this in mind. The next one is going to be Mistral Rend, which is arcane wind. Now unleashes a condensed arcane vortex that bounces between you and multiple enemies, damaging and slowing them. All right, so now we have wind, we have fire, and now we have firestorm, right? So Blood of the Wind is the first offhand, and this is arcane wind deals 38% more damage when igniting a firestorm. So you already get the damage buff from doing a firestorm, but now you're getting 38% more damage on top of it, which is going to be very easy to do with this build. Next up is the main hand number 2, which is going to be when Lightning Nova deals a critical hit. It emits a charged bolt that deals 15k damage, cannot occur more often than once every 1 second. All right, and then Lightning Nova cooldown is reduced by 18.6 seconds. So this is the one that's going to allow us to basically do another bolt every single time that this helps us out. Now, set gear is equally as important for this setup. We're running a 2-piece gloom, so increases your damage done by 15% for 3 seconds after using a dash skill. Guess what? We're gonna have basically 100% uptime on this bad boy, so that's why we're going to have that one on. We have the 2-piece Vithus for the increased beneficial effect duration. You basically have that in almost all builds nowadays. The next one is going to be Grace, 4-piece Grace. So 2-piece Vithus, 2-piece Gloom, I couldn't think of it, and then 4-piece Grace. So this is all continuous damage, channel damage, and persistent ground damage is increased by 15%. And each time you damage an individual enemy 5 times, you will do an additional 23k damage. All right. The skills, they usually go without saying. I usually don't cover the skills because, like, if you've watched the whole video, like, you'll see the skills. But I also get people that get really mad at me for not showing the skills. So here are the skills. I love you. Okay, it's okay. It'll be all right. So we have slow time, teleport, arcane wind, lightning nova. I have electrocute on because we are running dungeons. But again, you're basically not using your primary attack at all. So if you feel better with magic missile, go for it. Whatever tickles your pickle. For the Paragon Tree, we're using Harbinger, all right? And it's a very different setup than I think most people even utilize. So we are using Quick Step. I'm still in the way. There we go. We're using Quick Step, Blur, Fate, Ambush, and Honed Steel. And then for the legendary skill, we are using Death's Release, which is going to basically, whenever you use continuous damage effects expire, they explode, dealing 30% of their total damage to all nearby enemies. All right. Basically the only one that really makes sense for what we're doing. So now let's go ahead and jump into a dungeon so I can showcase just how fast it is, because again, one of the biggest skills or takeaways for this build is just how fast you can do the dungeons. And in some cases, it's not just how much damage you can do on a single target, but how fast you get to the mobs in dungeons to do the most damage. Let's get straight to the dungeon. Now, unfortunately, this isn't one that requires us to have too much, but in terms of our distance coverage, but we still get the general idea. Now, basically with this, very similar to some of our other builds, you can spam your abilities basically on cooldown. And as you're hitting more and more people, you're going to see more of these arcs flying around us. So if you don't like spammy builds, you're definitely not going to like this one. But if you do like doing a lot of damage and being able to move a lot, well, then you're going to like it. Oh man, I just got hit by something with firepower. So you can see after a while, again, I'm not having to move at all because, well, we're on a boat. I'm on a boat, mother. But you can see that there's a lot of these sparks flying around. So it really is awesome for the ability. And even as I'm running around, I can just keep spamming my abilities, which will allow me to move faster. Now I am in this with a absolute unit of a whale, so I am not going to be beating them in damage, but you can see I'm actually not insanely far behind considering probably the deficit in our resonance that I have compared to him and secondary stats. Oh, I took a bunch of damage from the boss. So you can see a lot of arcs flying around. You can sneak a couple of primary attacks in if you want to, but you really don't need to. The whole idea is basically on cooldown, you keep your slow time up, and then you can literally teleport, cast, and everything else just on cooldown because they're all going to help you reset faster. Now, one thing else I also want to call out specifically is if you, oops, not the shop. No, I don't want to look at the shop. If you look at the skills, so I'm not going to be doing damage for a second. If you look at teleport, the Blaze Blink also, teleport cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds when it hits a burning enemy. So not only getting the cooldown refreshed faster with the slow time and the headpiece that we have, you're also basically, whenever you hit somebody again who's already on fire, you're going to be doing getting another refresh of your teleport. So, and again, we're not in a dungeon where it requires a lot of mobs, but you can get the idea of just moving very quickly and getting a lot of basically resets. You basically got your own self like a little battle mage of a wizard build. Now, I was a massive fan of the battle mage when it first came out, and it's also a very engaging build to utilize because it keeps you moving. And my biggest thing when I'm farming dungeons is getting bored, right? Just getting uber bored. And this kind of helps me stay fully engaged. It's not necessarily hard. I don't have to look at the screen. I can watch a video or whatever. And just as long as I'm basically spamming all my abilities, you can literally just do, if you're on a mouse and keyboard, just do a 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and sort of just do that with your fingers, and that will make sure that you're basically doing the abilities in the right order. And then when I say order, it doesn't matter which one, as long as you have slow time up. So there's that. Again, I'm a big fan of this build. It's very intuitive, it's easy to use, and more importantly, it does do a lot of damage. Wait, with the butcher's here, not the butchie, not little butchie. So you can see I'm getting a ton of refreshes on basically everything here. Biggest thing is that I can keep up slow time at 100%, and that's all I want. And my little arcs are literally just going to run around for me and do a ton of additional damage. Now, with one of the mechanics that we have going on, I do have to make sure I'm not standing in bad, but outside of that, it's very easy to keep it going. You see I'm actually going to get the refresh. I can keep up my slow time literally 100% up with this build with all my beneficial effect duration. All right, guys, so that's it. Again, I'm a big fan of this build. Again, I saw it from Orith. If he got it from somewhere else, shout out to whoever he got it from. This build is fantastic and is going to really help me pre-farm all of my set gear for Inferno 8. If you found it helpful, make sure you smash the like button. If you want to see more builds and videos like this, make sure you subscribe, because ultimately, I'm a wizard main for now. But I do try to bring you builds for all the different classes. So smash the subscribe button, like the button, lick the like button or whatever. Anyway, love you guys. See you guys in another video. See you later. Bye.